The forest stretched endlessly in every direction, with tall trees reaching for the sky, and their leaves forming a soft green canopy overhead. The sunlight filtered through the branches, creating patterns on the forest floor that shifted with every gentle breeze. A quiet river murmured somewhere nearby, its sound mixing with bird song and the distant rustle of animals moving through the undergrowth. It was a place of calm and beauty, yet also demanded respect and careful attention from anyone walking through it alone. One person, a solo bushcraft enthusiast, was making their way through this forest. They moved carefully, stepping over fallen branches and around. The next morning, the forest woke with a soft chorus of sounds. Birds sang their familiar songs, insects buzzed in the warm air, and a gentle breeze made the leaves shimmer. The person awoke early, feeling a mix of excitement and purpose. Today was the day to begin the preparations for the cabin beneath the giant fallen tree. They knew it would take careful planning, patience, and energy, but the idea of transforming this natural shelter into a cozy home was a reward in itself. After a quick breakfast of simple rations, they packed a small bag with essential tools: a hatchet, a folding saw, a sturdy rope, and a few basic survival items. They stepped carefully through the undergrowth toward the fallen tree, each footfall soft on the mossy ground. The hollow beneath the trunk looked even more inviting in the morning light, and their mind already raced with ideas about how to use it. The first task was to gather materials, and the forest seemed full of possibilities. They began with logs. Some lay scattered on the forest floor, fallen naturally, others broken from larger trees. The person inspected each one carefully, testing its weight and sturdiness. A few were too rotten, and they set those aside. Others were strong and straight, perfect for the cabin walls. They lifted and carried each one to a central area near the fallen tree, stacking them neatly for easy access. It was slow, deliberate work, but it allowed them to measure the size and length of each log, imagining how it would fit into the cabin. Next, they looked for branches and smaller sticks. These would serve as supports, braces, or even tools. Some were lightweight, easy to manipulate, while others were thick and strong, ideal for structural support. They tested the branches by bending them slightly to see if they would snap or hold. Every piece they collected was considered carefully, with the knowledge that the strength and balance of the cabin depended on these small decisions. The person then moved on to stones. They found flat, wide ones that could serve as a foundation, lifting each with effort and setting it carefully where it would support the cabin. Some stones were heavy and awkward, requiring them to adjust their grip and take short breaks, but the satisfaction of placing each one correctly made the work worthwhile. They thought about drainage, stability, and how to make sure the cabin would remain secure even during heavy rain. While gathering materials, they also surveyed the ground beneath the fallen tree. The soil was uneven, with small roots and moss creating soft spots. They made mental notes of where to dig slightly to level the floor, imagining how the interior would feel when finished. Every step was an observation, every decision informed by experience and careful attention to the environment. Even in solitude, they felt a rhythm and flow, as though the forest itself was guiding their actions. As the morning turned to afternoon, the person paused for a moment of rest. Sitting on a moss-covered log, they sipped water from a small canteen and breathed deeply. The forest smelled of earth and leaves, rich and alive. Their muscles ached, but the sense of progress was invigorating. They watched a squirrel dart across the branches above, carrying a small nut. Even these small moments brought joy and a sense of connection to the world around them. Refreshed, they returned to their work, this time thinking about the layout of the cabin. They marked a rough outline on the ground using sticks, imagining the walls and corners, the sleeping area, and a small space for a fireplace. They moved a few stones to mark the corners, testing the dimensions and adjusting as needed. The process was slow, methodical, and entirely hands-on. Each adjustment brought the vision of the cabin closer to reality. The person also thought about the challenges that might arise. How would the cabin handle wind or rain? Where should they place the door for safety and convenience? How could they make the interior comfortable without disturbing the natural surroundings? They considered everything carefully, realizing that patience was as important as strength. One wrong choice now could cause problems later. By late afternoon, they had gathered most of the materials they needed. The pile of logs, branches, and stones looked like the beginnings of a construction site, but in harmony with the forest. They sat back and admired their work, feeling a deep sense of satisfaction. The forest was quiet now, except for the occasional bird call and the soft rustle of leaves. The sunlight cast long shadows across the clearing, and the hollow beneath the fallen tree seemed even more inviting. While resting, they began thinking about how to arrange the logs. Some would form the walls, interlocking in a way that provided stability and shelter. Others would be used to create the framework for a roof, even though the fallen tree itself would serve as the main covering. Small branches could fill gaps, insulate the interior, and provide support for other structures. Every decision required thought and care, but the mind enjoyed the challenge. As the sun began to dip toward the horizon, they gathered a few more small sticks and stones, preparing for the first phase of construction tomorrow. They made sure the site was clear of debris and marked the path back to their temporary resting spot. Even in preparation, there was a rhythm, a sense of flow that made every movement feel purposeful. The forest seemed alive, responsive, and patient, welcoming the careful work of someone who respected it. Before leaving, they took a moment to visualize the cabin. They imagined sitting inside, the logs forming sturdy walls, the hollow of the fallen tree above providing a natural roof. They imagined the warmth of a small fire, the comfort of a simple bed made from leaves and moss, and the feeling of being completely at home in the middle of the forest. The vision was clear and motivating, and it carried them through the walk back to their resting place. That night, as stars appeared in the sky and the forest settled into darkness, they reflected on the day. The first step, gathering materials and planning the layout, was complete. It had been hard work, but every decision, every lift of a log or stone, had been a step toward creating something lasting. They felt a growing connection to land, a sense of partnership, rather than simply using nature. Sleep came easily, filled with dreams of logs, branches, and the cozy cabin that was slowly taking shape beneath the giant fallen tree. Tomorrow, the real construction would begin, and with it, a new chapter in their solo bushcraft journey.